I'd like to very briefly introduce our chief guest this morning to all of you, Shri Priyank Kharge, the Honorable Minister for Information Technology, Biotechnology and Science and Technology, Government of Karnataka. In June 2016, Mr. Kharge was inducted into the Siddaramaiah-led government of Karnataka as a state minister with independent charge. Mr. Kharge holds the Information Technology and Biotechnology Science and Technology Department portfolio, as I just mentioned, in the government of Karnataka. And Mr. Kharge is considered a rare breed of second-generation politicians who have come up the ranks of the party right from the bottom of the pyramid. His commitment, conviction, and passion for the party is exemplified by the fact that he is considered an absolute worker from the grassroots. Ladies and gentlemen, please extend a warm welcome once again to Shri Priyank Kharge, and I'd like to request him to address this gathering.
It's my pleasure and privilege to be here at IISA's Resurgent India Electronics Entrepreneurship and Economy Forum. And I congratulate the IISA team for its 13th continuous IISA Vision Summit. I'm told it's 13 years, and trust me, I know it must be a very difficult journey, especially when you don't have an ecosystem that is supporting a futuristic thing like the electronics and the ESDM sector. So I think that you have done phenomenally well, and today what you're doing and probably also guiding a lot of governments, that is also helping stimulate economies across not only India but across the world as well. So I'd like to congratulate the IISA team for that. And as Ms. Krush in her address was telling, that Bengaluru is one of the best ecosystems in the country for ESDM and also possibly for entrepreneurship and innovations and inventions. And we all know that Bengaluru has been known for her many identities. We were known as the pensioners' paradise, Lake City, Garden City, Science City, the Silicon Valley of India. Of late, we are also called the Pub City. So I see a lot of people from outside the state. So, and as a Minister of Tourism, it's also my pitch always that whenever I get a chance, I should pitch my state and my city also as a tourist destination. So you're not only in the innovative city of the country, but also, like I said, a pub city. We are the only city that brews our own beer, distills our own single malt, and grows our own wine. So I think probably we should have a look at that as well. And of course, most recently at the World Economic Forum, we were also rated as the most dynamic city in the world and most adaptable for any digital change that is happening in the world. And the reason for this is probably because we have always been a society, a city that understands what is good for the people and what the future holds for us. And I'd like to quote one of my favorite leaders, that's Mr. Pandit Nehru. In 1962, he had envisioned a Bangalore in many ways. So he said this on July 17, 1962, probably during, I'm not able to recollect, probably during the inaugural of the Vidhan Sabha or during the IISc inaugural of the Indian Institute of Science. I'm not able to recollect the exact moment, but what he said was that Bangalore, in many ways, is unlike other great cities of India. Most of the other cities in India remind one, certainly of the present, certainly of the future, but essentially of the past. But Bangalore, as I said, more than any other great city of India, is a picture of the future. And this was said in 1962. And today, here we are in 2019, actually painting the picture for the future. And a lot of people ask me, like, how did this happen? How is it that we have, today we are talking about, when the government of Karnataka talks about blockchain, nobody is surprised. When we talk about animation and gaming, nobody is surprised. When we talk about semiconductor, fabless centers of excellence, nobody is surprised. So the reason is probably that we have, like I said earlier, one of the most progressive minds in the country here. And when we started out as IT services industry, it was already 30, 35 years back. And that was because when we came out with the first IT policy, a lot of people were wondering, why does the state need an IT policy? But when we did come out with an IT policy, it helped a lot of people come to the state with investments. And over the years, from IT services, we have matured into probably one of the world's best ecosystems for research and development. Today, we are ranked number 4 globally. We have beaten Tokyo, we have beaten Chicago, we have beaten London as a R&D hub, as a global R&D hub. And that has again spun off as probably as a spun off as a society for innovation and invention. Now, how many cities in India can boast this, right? From IT-enabled services, IT services, to an R&D hub, to a ideation, innovation, and invention hub today. And we are churning out entrepreneurs like never before. So we have a lot of experts speaking on electronics here. So I will stick to my subject of expertise, that is entrepreneurship and probably economy if time permits. But the point I'm trying to make here is, what is it that we are doing differently that is spurning these entrepreneurs here, that is actually allowing such an ecosystem to be bred in our state? You'll be quite surprised that the government of Karnataka has policies probably in every vertical to ensure that we encourage ecosystems across sectors. So a lot of people were talking about startups outside. When I just came in, we had some time, and I was trying to see some of, I just went through the stalls, and I saw probably some of the best disruptions I've seen in a long time. And why is it there here? Why is it there in Bengaluru and not anywhere else? And people from outside the ecosystem also are coming and showcasing in Bengaluru. So we need to understand that probably we are the only state that provides the startups the much needed springboard. We have started something called the Startup Cell within the Department of IT/BT, which handholds entrepreneurs through the maze of policies. A lot of people think that government policies are very difficult to understand, or working with the government is very difficult to understand, and there's no actual ease of doing business with the government. So we have set up this cell to ensure that we handhold entrepreneurs, we handhold startups, we handhold organizations and associations so that we can partner with them, collaborate with them. And it's just not that we just have some cell and people come and register with us and we are done with. We provide them with a whole host of things. So we give them, we help them with idea validation, we help them to find the best of the mentors. If they want to pilot within the government, we give them an opportunity to pilot within the government. We give them incubation opportunities. We give them networking opportunities, both in the domestic market as well as the international market. And more importantly, we give them access to funds. It's just not government funds, but also private venture capitalists who are with us. And we are the only state in the country that successfully run seed funds and as well as venture capitals. We've been doing it for years. And today you will not believe me if I said out of the 10,000 startups that are there in Bengaluru, more than 5,000 of them are registered with the government of Karnataka. And they're looking towards the government to help them take them to the next level. And that's exactly what we are trying to do. We are trying to help entrepreneurship. We are trying to help these disruptors and creators get to the next level. And more importantly, in our policy, we have a very aggressive policy. We want to breed 20,000 innovations, 20,000 startups during our policy tenure. And out of that, 6,000 of them are going to be product-based startups. So our targets are very aggressive, and we need to ensure that we achieve these things. So that's why we have these various programs. One of the programs that we did recently was Elevate. So we had this program called Elevate 100, where I wanted to identify 100 of the top innovations across the state. So a lot of people keep complaining that IT and our policy is very limited to the city of Bengaluru and not for the entire state. But this time what we did is we went across the state. We went to the tier 2 towns of Karnataka. In 2 weeks' time, when we opened up registrations for this program called Elevate, I got 1,800 applications in 2 weeks from right across the state. And out of these 1,700 to 800 startups, 450 of them were from outside Bengaluru. And out of the 1,700, 800 of them, more than 300 of them were women entrepreneurs. So I think that is a very encouraging sign. And in the last 1 year, we have helped more than 400 entrepreneurs. And more than 250 startups, we have given seed capital. So the government has invested in startups. And that is like, in the last 1 year, it's 250, means it's almost like every 1.5 days, we are encouraging one entrepreneur. Now, how many states can boast of this number? Not many. I don't think any, not many. Nobody can do that. And we also understand that entrepreneurship does not grow without skill sets. And government of Karnataka is also trying to address that problem. How is it that we can ensure that the graduates who are coming out are more employable? How is it that we can ensure that these people have the right skill sets necessary for the industry? Because what the industry demands something, whereas our course curriculum is something else. So we need to figure out a way to ensure that the skill delivery mechanism or the skill sets that we are giving to our graduates make them more employable. So we have come out with these quick fix solutions or quick interventions with the industry partners through centers of excellence. So the government of Karnataka has created these various centers of excellence within the city and within the state. So we are running India's only center of excellence in IoT. It's been up and running for 1.5 years, and we are running a center of excellence in aerospace and space. And we are we have already launched the artificial intelligence, big data, and machine learning center of excellence. We also have a center of excellence in artificial intelligence and robotics. We have I was just talking to Tyagiji just now, and he suggested that we have a center of excellence in blockchain. From my side, it is okay, sir. आप भारत सरकार से एक बार बात कर लीजिए. Because we are faster than that. So we are ready to do that with the government of India. And also we have already come up with the Center of Excellence in cybersecurity, and more importantly, design. I think that is something that was lacking. And that will be done within the next 3 months. And to encourage manufacturing and the ESDM sector. I will not get into the policy part of it, because I'm sure that all of you are aware of the ESDM policy, and also Tyagiji also spoke about all the incentives that the government of India is giving. It's very similar to the government of Karnataka's incentives. But we are trying to see how I can stimulate the entire ecosystem from the bottom of the pyramid. So we are going to have 5 common instrumentation facilities focusing on electronic manufacturing, one in Bengaluru, and the rest are going to be in the tier 2 cities of Karnataka. That's already been sanctioned, and probably our CIFs will be up and running in the next couple of months. And more importantly, I was this report is what actually got me thinking. This report is done by IESA. And it talks about Indian semiconductor fabless startup ecosystem. It was a very interesting read. And when this was given to me a couple of months back, so they have this very interesting table over here, a competitive benchmarking table, which speaks about India, US, Taiwan, Israel, and China. So they say that in this table, they say that the parameters are for local fabs. So the local fabs are present in all other countries except India. Talent for this industry, it is available in all the countries. Experience is rated very high in everywhere except China. It's rated moderate experience. But in India, US, Taiwan, and Israel, it's rated a high experience. Funding, in India, it is unavailable. US government plus private, Taiwan government plus private, Israel government plus private, China government plus private. And presence of local OEMs, moderate presence in India, everywhere else it's high presence. So this table is what actually got me thinking, because it seems we have everything except the government support. So I was thinking, why didn't we think of this earlier, or why didn't you come earlier? So this table has to be rectified quickly, Ashwiniji, because along with IESA, we have partnered with them for the Semiconductor Fabless Lab. And I think that is already approved and it should be operational, I don't know, whenever ISA wants it to be done quickly. So the point I'm trying to make over here is that the government of Karnataka probably needs a nudge when such tables come up, because everywhere else we are high, except for the government support. And this is something we didn't really know. And the reason why we have disruptive and creative policies in the government is because we listen. We listen to the stakeholders, because I cannot come up with a regressive policy without understanding what the stakeholders want. So today, if Karnataka is a leader in emerging technologies and technologies, it is because we are listening to our stakeholders very keenly. And from a nation's perspective, I think it's imperative to develop a fabulous ecosystem as well. I mean, I was reading this report the other day, which says that it can potentially wipe out, if we have a fabulous ecosystem over here, it can potentially wipe out 25% of the import bill out of the $400 billion electronics imports, which is projected by 2023. And I'm not talking about some vision of 2050. It's like 5 to 6 years down the line. And also, apparently, it has a potential to push the contribution of the ESDM ecosystem to the country's GDP from 1.7% to probably 8 to 10%. And if this is going to be the disruption that ESDM can bring in, I think all governments need to huddle up and see how we can encourage this ecosystem. Because right now in India, I think most of the OEM is confined to the last mile assembly, indicating that the industry is in the early stages of development. I think we need to ensure that we go beyond assembly units and get into actual manufacturing. And Niti Aayog too is very keen apparently, and they say that the contribution of electronic industry to GDP is right now 1.1% as compared to 15.5% in Taiwan and 15.1% in South Korea and 12.7% in China. And we need to change this. So how is it that we are going to propel the ESDM sector in India? So if we are actually talking about an economy which can be which we are contributing only 1.7 to 1.8% of it, and it has the potential to grow up to 10%, I think we need to collaborate with the industry more. And I think it's just not by announcing policies or anything, because I believe Ashwini ji has met me a lot of times, and in our conversation, he's told me that the Indian industry is pretty well entrenched. I mean, we are good in IP, we are good in design services, we are good in R&D, and now the Indian companies are a little more confident building products locally. And of course, there are already a lot of success stories, Indian success stories as well, for us to learn from. So we would like to learn from other ecosystems as well. I think collaborating with just within our ecosystem will not help. We need to collaborate with other ecosystems. So probably, I think, Ms. Krush, you have a MOU pending with the government of Karnataka. So the idea is to ensure that we learn from other ecosystems like the Israeli ecosystem, like the Chinese ecosystem, the Silicon Valley ecosystem. So we already have, like with Netherlands, we have something called the Orange Corridor, which is very specific, with a specific agenda for cybersecurity and geriatrics. We would love to have an innovation corridor with Israel for startups and agri-tech, and also probably semiconductor as well. And we have a Boston Biotechnology Corridor. So the idea of having these kind of corridors across the globe is to ensure that we learn from other ecosystems so that we accelerate our own growth. So that, I think, is going to be a game changer. It's just not going to be enough if we are trying to give new policies which will take some time to implement. So basically, if we collaborate outside our comfort zone, outside our domestic relations, we will learn faster, and that's the only way to accelerate the entire ecosystem. So we are trying to provide the best ecosystem here in the state, and probably Ashwini ji in his presentation spoke about ease of doing business, although I don't know why government of Karnataka is not rated very high by government of India in ease of doing business. We are always slipping every year. But irrespective of those rankings, Karnataka is probably the best ecosystem in the country, which is validated by its stakeholders. So 44% of all intended investments in the country come to Karnataka. The highest FDI invested is in Karnataka. So in spite of all this, I'm not sure why we are not going up our business rankings by the government of India. That needs to be checked up a little more seriously, I think. And the reason is why I'm saying this is that my validation is because of the stakeholders is only for the fact that when the most valued company in the world, when they were looking out for the right partners, they chose Karnataka. And I think everybody knows who I'm talking about. And we are looking at them to start manufacturing here as well. The idea is to ensure I give them a complete ecosystem, because this ecosystem that I'm talking about is not available anywhere in India. I'm sure that I think you have Mr. Nara Lokesh coming here in the evening, right? So we are a fiercely competitive bunch here. So in India, we always fight with each other. We don't fight with Israel. We don't fight with China. We are not competing with you, ma'am. We are competing amongst ourselves. So as soon as I have a Invest Karnataka, Mr. Nara Lokesh is going to have a Invest Andhra. Then Mr. KTR is going to have a Invest Telangana. Then somebody is going to have a Invest Jharkhand, Invest Maharashtra. So if I announce a EV policy, electric vehicle policy, immediately one policy comes out there. If I announce a EV park of 10,000 acres, 20,000 acres, free water, free electricity, 10 years, no tax, everything comes into place. So, but how is it that we are different is, one, like I earlier said, we are a government that listens. We have a policy that is drafted by the stakeholders, for the stakeholders. Number two is the ecosystem that we provide. Nobody can give you the ecosystem. I can give you land, so can anybody else. But who can give you an entire ecosystem of knowledge base? Who can give you a skill set based ecosystem? Who can give you an ecosystem where ideation, innovations, and inventions thrive right from the bottom of the pyramid? So probably you might call me arrogant, but well, here we are. It's a 40-year legacy that I'm carrying and coming. But this is the kind of ecosystem that we are trying to give, and we are focusing on ease of doing business. And the ease of doing business is, like I said, is already validated by a lot of my valued partners and valued associations like IESA. And if we are able to give the ecosystem that we have been talking about, we together can build a Karnataka that is better, bolder, and more progressive state, not only for entrepreneurship, but also for manufacturing. And we need to ensure that less and less of these entrepreneurs fail, less and less of these manufacturing units are shut down. We need to ensure that, see, right now, 95% of all the startups are failing. We need to ensure that that comes down to probably 85%, 90%. That's the value that we can add as a government or as partners with the government. So I'll not take much of your time. Lastly, I would also request, I believe IESA has an office in Taiwan, and I'm quite sure that you're aware that recently the government of Karnataka sanctioned 43 acres for Taiwanese consortium. And I would love it if you could take the lead, since you already have a foot in the door, if you could be the representatives for the Department of IT, BT, and the government of Karnataka to ensure we get in more investment, so that we can get in the entire ecosystem of not just manufacturing, like you said, the allied industries also. So right from packaging to design and everything. So if we can have that work out with probably Wistron, we can have a chat and we'll see how we can work together on that. Because I'm sure that with the so many years of good work that IESA has done, and with the credibility that government of Karnataka has across the globe, we will be able to ensure that the entire ecosystem is moved to Bengaluru and to Karnataka. Because if you want a resurgent India in electronics, entrepreneurship, and economy, it is imperative and unavoidable that anything that happens has to surge first from my state. So only if it surges in Karnataka, only then India will become resurgent. So I look forward to engaging with IESA and all of you soon. And I'm glad that this entire ecosystem over here is over here today. And as usual, we have been supporting IESA for quite a long time for this event. And we're looking forward to ensure that more success stories come out of events like these. And I'm sure it's going to be a big learning curve for a lot of youngsters whom I met outside. And of course, there are a lot of stalwarts sitting here whose knowledge and experience will not only help the youngsters, but also help the government form better and more progressive policies in this sector. Thank you so much for having me over. Good day to all of you. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka.